Okay, my friends, this is for the research community. It's not designated to say do this or don't do that, but wait till I show you what I have discovered about COVID-19 and what other researchers have done, is specifically UCLA. And they have discovered that catalase, which breaks down hydrogen peroxide into water and an extra oxygen, which becomes non-reactive, is literally a cure for COVID. Now, this is what they say. This is research. This is not anything else. And it's catalase and another one that a guy in the Philippines turned me on to, which is SOD, I think it's called. We're going to go into this right now, but don't get away from this, because this literally could be a lifesaver as the interim for whatever they come up with for a vaccine. I'm not saying don't take any vaccines, but this is catalase is 100% in every single cell in your body. And the reason appears to be that it is there to break down reactive oxygen species. That's exactly what it does. And reactive oxygen species are oxidative stress related destroyers of your health. All right, this we're going to be getting into. Squamous cells, the very thin, flat cells. They're the thinnest ones, and inside your lungs, they transpire. They're like membranes. They let the gases in and out. Very easily damaged and very reactive. Create a lot of hydrogen peroxide. You need catalase to mitigate that highly reactive oxygen species. H2O2, very reactive, and it's going to damage something, it's going to inflame something, you're going to react, you're going to start to lose the ability to transpire, or to respirate. Alright, this is the one the guy from the Philippines turned me on to. He couldn't get catalase, so he says, what about this stuff? Superoxide dimustase. So I looked it up, yeah, he's right. And they knew about this in 1984. Protection against oxygen toxicity, which is this reactive oxygen species, by intravenous. Now, they're using intravenous injection of fat-entrapped catalase. Liposome is fats. And it really worked very, very well. And look at all this stuff they're talking about now. These are new things now. Novel drug delivery system targeting oxidative stress 2020. Here's engineering a gut microbiota. This is pretty new, 2020. 2020, engineering probiotics detection and treatment, inflammatory intestinal disease. Exactly what I've been talking about. SOD2, sickle cell anemia, 2019 catalase. They're starting to talk about these things, but I haven't heard anything in the mainstream about it. This is, people are dying today, so I can't see why it's not being talked about today. All right, we just talked about reactive oxidative species. This is everything you should know about oxidative stress. Well, oxidation puts stress on your body because it invades it. Oxidative stress is an imbalance between free radicals and antioxidants in your body. Free radicals, oxygen-containing molecules, which is H2O2, uneven number of electrons. The uneven number allows them to easily react with other molecules. You put that on your blood, bubbles up like crazy because the oxygen is invading and breaking other things. Free radicals cause large chain chemical reactions in your body because they react so easily with other molecules. These reactions are called oxidation. They cause oxidation. They can be beneficial or harmful. Well, antioxidants are molecules that can donate an electron to a free radical without making themselves unstable. This causes the free radical to stabilize and become less reactive. Antioxidants are these catalase and this other one, this SOD, I think it was called. Oxidation, normal process. It happens in your body all the time because you're always dealing with stress. But oxidative stress, on the other hand, occurs when there's an imbalance between the free radical activity and the antioxidant activity. So you don't have the catalase, let's say. Why don't you have the catalase? Because there's a bacteria that creates the enzyme, which is the catalase. And when you take antibiotics and it kills the gut bacteria, you can lose all kinds of enzymes. And then you get all kinds of gut issues. And it's from antibiotics. So don't tell me that you can't damage your gut by taking antibiotics. 100%. And it happened to me. I had to have surgery twice. Now, because of that, and nobody told me anything about it, I had to figure it out myself, and trust me, now I'm in good shape, because I know how to deal with the bacteria, the gut flora, that lives down there, that digests the things that I eat. It's the only way I can make myself healthy, is to have those things healthy. Now, when functioning properly, everything's fine, but free radicals can help fight off pathogens, but pathogens lead to infections. These are the different bacteria and the different enzymes and the different chemistry that's invading you. You immediately, instantaneously mount a reattack against these invaders, instantaneously, and it starts creating this H2O2, and then that is what sends out the instructions how to deal with this invader, and how to, and apparently it turns on a catalase response to say, hey, you're going to get all kind of extra oxygen out there. I mean, hydrogen peroxide in there. Just go and break it up. All right, get ready. Here it comes. Boom! And there it goes. And when there are more free radicals present than can be kept in balance by antioxidants, the free radicals start doing damage to the fatty tissue, which is the squamous layer. The DNA and the proteins in your body get damaged. The proteins, lipids, the DNA make up a large part of your body, so the damage can lead to a vast number of diseases over time. Now, why are these different diseases? Well, a lot of them are caused by different types of bacteria being damaged. If the different damage, some people say, oh, I'm allergic to sugar, I'm allergic to this, I'm allergic to that, lactose intolerance. Well, basically, you don't have the bacteria to deal with that product that's coming into you, so something else tries to deal with it, and sometimes it can just go out and not cause a harm. Sometimes you get bloated, sometimes you get gas, diarrhea, all that stuff. Now, what can I say? It's what it is what it is. And if they don't start paying attention to what it is, you just keep walking around in circles hoping for someday everything's going to go fine. Well, the research that I did, when I went back, it went to 1983, 1984, even before that, in the 70s. This exact same issue should have been fully noticed, and somebody, which I give kudos to UCLA. For mentioning this, but I give to total zeros to all of the other places that should be having our best interest, and nobody's looked into this. They're poo-pooing probiotics, which I've been saying for years and years and years. I have this book over here. You see this book over here? There's a long right on there, and I go back to looking at this thing. This goes back 10 years. Everything's about enzymes and probiotics, and about how your body deals with the chemistry of your body. It's all enzymes, and the only way an enzyme is created is from a bacteria. And if you damage the bacteria in your body, you don't get the enzymes. You don't get the enzymes, you don't get the chemistry done that creates the products or kills the pathogens or whatnot. Not everybody dies that gets COVID-19, and the older you get, the more likely it is you're going to get damaged. And guess what? As you get older, catalase goes less and less and less and less and less in your body. And there's in every single cell in your body. So don't tell me it's not important. It's there to clean that cell. And when you get invaded so desperately as you are right now, if you have COVID, into your squamous cells, and you can't react because you don't have enough catalase, it's being overwhelmed. It's only a thin layer. That's why. If you had a big chunky thing and it could sort of work its way out, that wouldn't be such a thing. But this is like almost instantaneous. These people are going down. And that's why it's a thin layer and it's being attacked quickly. And you have nothing to fight back with. All right, my friends, this is as serious as I have ever gotten. This is tissue types. And we're going to be talking about the very thinnest of tissue, the respiratory type tissue, which is squamous cells that transpire. They let the oxygen in and out, the gases back and forth. So they're the thinnest of cells. When they become damaged, they become inflamed, and they are extremely vulnerable because they're so thin. We're going to go through this. They're talking about cancer and all this, but it's the same reason, is that the enzymes are not present to protect it. Let's look. Okay, my friends, stay with me. This is my most serious voice, and I am seriouser than serious. This goes back to September 28th, just a couple of months ago. There is a common antioxidant enzyme that could provide potential treatment for the COVID-19 to completely fix it and save your life. Now, this is not my research. This is UCLA. Researchers from UCLA and China have found that catalase, which is a naturally occurring enzyme, not only is it naturally occurring, it's in every single cell in your body, 100%. Why? Why would it be in 100%? I could tell you why. It is a cleaner. Anytime you have damage to a cell, it creates hydrogen peroxide, H2O2. H2O2 is what's called a reactive oxygen species. A reactive oxygen species wants to go and damage something or attach to something. Sometimes it's good, but mostly it does damage. Well, in this case, I'm calling it damage. And what is the damage? The damage is to the most thin layer of squamous cells. Let's look at that. And that's why it can damage it, and that's why they can die so damn quick. Okay, my extremely wonderful friends, get ready to get healthy. Bacteria are actually the factories that produce enzymes. Wait till you see what enzymes do. When the right bacteria are present in the right quantities under the right conditions, they produce enzymes. Then they go into how they produce them better than we can. They're not alive. They're complex chemicals made up of amino acid subunits. Don't forget, bacteria are the factories that produce enzymes. Wait till you hear this. All right, all the different types of cells appear to be able to make enzymes to do the chemistry required to make that cell work. Now, listen to this. Ribosomes are nucleic acid enzymes. There's the word, enzymes. They're RNA molecules that have the ability to catalyze, which means break down specific other chemicals, including RNA splicing and gene expression. Now, gene expression is where your genetic material, all the codes that are in you, make a certain function happen. And if it doesn't happen, like they say, oh, the guy's got some kind of disease, it's because his gene expression was bad. Now, I don't believe that's true in every case. I say sometimes yes, but you need these enzymes. They think the gene creates the enzymes. It's not that way around. The bacteria creates the enzymes. The enzymes are used through the gene expression program. It sends down a program to the enzyme and says, go break up some molecules. We need such and such a thing to make the guy healthy. If you don't have the bacteria to create the enzyme, remember that's the factory, you're not going to get that enzyme. They are not created just willy-nilly. Now, they're learning all this new stuff. Trust me, they don't understand this very much at all. And they're finally getting into these ribosomal units, and we're going to go into this. It's not really that hard. Ribosomes really are enzymes. Let's look. And enzymes, don't forget, bacteria make enzymes. They say these enzymes are coded from these messenger RNAs, which is ribonucleic acids, which are not alive. They're just molecules. I say somebody's programming them, and I say there's a bacteria living in there somewhere that they don't know about, and I think it's in the nucleolus of the ribosome. And in the case of what we're talking about, it's not in the ribosome; it's in a different area. But we'll talk about that. It's in the mitochondrial ribosome. All right, I've shown this many times. National Institute of Health organelles. They're little tiny packages like this. That little jobber is inside of every cell in your body. There's these organelles. So you have the regular cells, and then you have these. They look like cells, but all they do is one specific job, and these shoot out ribosomes. You see this? Now, in the case of what we were talking about, we're going to have mitochondrial ribosomes. And something, though, in the nucleolus programs these ribosomes. That nucleolus isn't there for no reason whatsoever. And I believe there's a bacteria living in the nucleolus or somewhere affecting the programming of these little capsids. They're called capsids. They're little ribosomes. They're little balls that have a membrane around them, and they squirt them out and they float around until that membrane that has these little spikes on it sees something that the spikes know is what it wants to attach to, which is a cell that it knows that type of cell. And in the case of COVID, that type of cell is lung cells, heart cells. The cells that do that. It's the rubbery collagen cells. Now, they understand this. In the case of the mitochondrial enzymes, they are exactly identical to these ribosomes. These ribosomes are enzymes. They're enzymes. In the mitochondrial enzymes, which are the same things as this, they can affect so many things that they can make you totally disabled. And they think that these things have no effect, the bacteria has no effect on them. Well, I can tell you what, if you take antibiotics and it kills the bacteria in your body, you will not produce the enzymes that are required for your health, and you'll get sick. I know because I had surgery twice because of antibiotics. Nobody gave me any idea about the antibiotics. And then I finally realized what was the story, and it was, it kills the probiotics in your body. You have to have these probiotics to create these enzymes, or you get overwhelmed with enzymes that are against you. And then you end up in the hospital. Now, let's look into the mitochondrial ribosome assembly in health and disease, because this is where the mitochondria is a whole nother area that's even smaller than I believe it's smaller, but listen to this. The regulation of mitochondrial ribosomes is paramount to mitochondrial respiration, so that, which is, you know, breathing basically, thus to the viability of the cells and the growth and the differentiation. Now, moreover, mutations affecting this RNA and protein components produce severe human mitochondrial disorders. Severe. Despite its biological and biomedical significance, knowledge on this microbiome, this mitochondrial biosome, and its deviations from the much-studied bacterial ribosomes, that's the other ones, assembly process is scarce. They have no idea about it, especially the order of the RNA processing assembly events that regulate factors required to achieve fully functional particles. No clue whatsoever. And now, wait till you hear this. Okay, my friends, this is about as serious as it gets, and it's very simple. This is the regulation of mammals, which is us, the mitochondrial gene expression. That means, we've talked about this, I think, These are our genetic codes, and expression means do they work or don't they work? Are they expressed correctly? Well, how do we regulate these? When do they get expressed? How do they get expressed? If they're not expressed correctly, why not? If they're overexpressed, why? If they're, there's all kinds of issues, but it boils down to really enzymes. You see look at this. These are the new things, and this is pretty recent now. This goes back to 2017, but trust me, these things move at a glacial pace in the research area. Now, the genetic system required for mitochondrial gene expression. That's mitochondrial is the major mother's influence. Well, let's just go with its gene expression. Is housed within the mitochondrial matrix. It has all the necessary RNAs being provided by transcription of the mitochondrial DNA itself. Well, I say that anytime you have an enzyme, anytime you have an enzyme, it's created by a bacteria. And I think they don't understand it. I honestly don't think they understand it's a bacteria. I think they believe the body just automatically creates these. It's transcribed by the mitochondrial DNA itself. Like the DNA DNA is not really alive. Hold on, let's just see what they say about DNA being alive. All right, here's what they say. Is DNA alive? No, it's not alive, mostly. The only sense in which a DNA model lives is it makes copies of itself, although it can't even do that on its own. Viruses are bundles of DNA. Now, viruses are bundles of DNA, and so are enzymes that become active only when they are inside a cell, at which point they take over the cell and give us the flu. That's what viruses do. Well, enzymes can do the same thing. Enzymes can go in and they can take over, and they're really made the same way by a bacteria, just the way a virus is. Now, our bacteria, though, as well, can break down molecules and break them down. Now, viruses, they say they go and they take over the cell. Well, yes and no. Sometimes they do, but maybe they're just being squirted out, and they take over an organelle within the cell and squirt them out of that organelle. I believe that's the case. Now, and in that case, it's doing the same thing as our enzymes do. It's taken over an organelle and squirting out. But I believe the bacteria there's some kind of living creature in there that's programming these from inside that nucleolus. And then these little ribosomes, which I think I showed you, those little balls, and they're coated with a membrane around them, and they go out until they attach. Boom, they do their job. Now, we have them that also do this to food. They go out and break down food. It's a molecule in your digestive system that's squirted out by bacteria. Basically, we think of it, they eat them. And it's part of their poop that we're living off of, really. Well, there is that, but there is, because they are eating, they're living inside of us. They're living, they're eating something. And there's prebiotics, which is bulk. I take Metamucil, and it works very, very, very well. And it gives you bulk, and it increases your poop, and all that business. And it also gives the bacteria something to live off of. It makes it very healthy, and that makes it want to consume other things, and that makes it active. So you need, there's a little, well, not a lot to it, there's a little bit to it. It's just like anything else. You need like a little fertilizer, and that's Metamucil for me. And then you need the probiotics to go down in and they live in amongst it, and they eat everything that you eat. And as a byproduct of that, they give off enzymes, they give off the particles that create amino acids and foods and the digestion and all that stuff for us. Now, once you kill those bacteria, you're in trouble. And antibiotics will kill them. They're not just going to kill the good, bad thing that you have. It's not just like one silver bullet. Go in and get that guy. Beep. No. Just like that shotgun approach, everybody goes. Now, That's not necessarily the case, but it's pretty much the case. You're going to kill a bunch of bacteria that is vulnerable to whatever the attack of the one that you're attacking. It might be you're cutting its oxygen off or its blood supply. I don't know. You know, there's all kinds of invasion techniques they use. But you're not just going to hit the one guy. You're not just going to hit the one guy. And now, if you don't put them back in, and this is what I use these primal defense. There are 13 different bacteria in it. The bacteria is absolutely required for your health. I don't care what anybody says. Well, they know it now. They just never understood. They thought all your diseases caused your gut disorders. It's exactly the opposite, 100% wrong. And it's still wrong today. Your gut disorder causes your disease. Once you correct the gut disorder, your disease will get better. It should have never happened if your gut was in good shape in the first place. It's always going to be. They're always going to walk into the doctor and say, yeah, I got all manner of this on my stomach. Yeah, I take a little of Pepto-Bismol, do this, do that. And they don't ever get to the bacteria issue and probiotics because they poo-pooed it. They even poo-pooed it on 60 Minutes. I was furious. I saw an article about it at the beginning of this COVID thing. They said, oh, what's the big deal about probiotics? And then some woman from Boston University, I was livid. She comes on, she says, well, there's a lot of money they're trying to make. You know, like I'm telling you something. We made a big mistake allowing ourselves to be led by these academics, trust me. I don't want to go down that road again. I know I shouldn't even open my mouth about it, but believe me, there's just not a word we're hearing that we should believe. If you stay on my channel, you'll understand that fully. All right, but anyway, back to this. Viruses are bundles of DNA, and they're going to have a bacteria somewhere along the line that creates that. It just doesn't happen by accident.